Okay, hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Nur Fatini binti Sharnizam, and today I'm going to discuss about our task 1 that is going to explain on outsourcing of inventory system. So let's move on to our first question. So for the first question, they are asking on the concept of outsourcing inventory. So it is the business practice of hiring a party outside a company to perform services and create goods that traditionally were performed in-house by the company's own employees and staff. It is done to reduce the burden of producing of components of finished product in-house, and it can cut cost and time consumption. It allows an organization to benefit from the manufacturing effectiveness of others, which would not be applicable if others' product were produced in-house. As an example of outsourcing is an American company opening a factory in China and hiring Chinese workers. The practice of having a certain job functions done outside a company instead of having an in-house department of employee that is handling them. Functions can be outsourced to either a company or an individual.
So hi, my name is Shuhaila and I'll be presenting about the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing methods. So there are some benefits of using outsourcing methods. Firstly was to improve and focus on core business activities where some outsourcing could help the organization to create or focus on its core competitive, which enable your workforce to focus on their key duties and long-term strategy. So next, the outsourcing could increase company efficiency by choosing an outsourcing firm, which this is special in the process or service that some company needs will help, which could deliver more productive, effective, and sometimes higher quality service. While the outsourcing may have some lack of flexibility where it is possible that the contract will be too restrictive to accept any other changes in the future. Thus, outsourcing might have some management difficulties where there are some changes at the outsourcing firm that could trigger a split or face some problem.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Is the example of company that applying outsourcing method as one of the inventory control management. So let's move on to the evidence. So for the first evidence, we can find that Apple is one of company that is listed on top outsourcing companies by revenue. So it is proven that Apple use outsourcing method in their supply chain. Okay, the next one is why are they using it? One of the reason is because they can reduce the time consumed on producing their product, as the period on producing their product in US is taken more than the product distribute in China, because in China they can distribute any product easily because they have a good technology. And for the third evidence, it says that Apple have a great industry management by using this outsourcing method. We can also see from an article from Investopedia.com that stated that Apple uses multiple suppliers for their supply chain. So based on the evidence found, China is an important global area for Apple in general. Chinese and Hong Kong-based manufacturers now account for a wider share of the 2019 distributor list than America and Japan, second only to Taiwan. Apple buys components and materials from a variety of manufacturers, then has them transferred to China assembly plant. That shows that they are using the outsourcing method. As we can see, part of the article stated that Apple is having great inventory management is they cut down on warehouse and outsource their products from many different suppliers that are going to compete for Apple's business, and we cannot deny it is a great strategy of Apple company in supply chain and outsourcing their product and service. So that's all from me, and let's move on to the next.
Okay, now let's move on to task 2. Okay, for the first one, I need to calculate the following, which is inventory conversion period. So what does inventory conversion period is? Basically what it means is that how long does the manufacturer or the seller holds their product before that when they bought the product, how long do they hold the product before the product is then sold to the customer. To get this, the formula is inventory conversion period equals to inventory divided by sales per day. Okay, based on the table given on the question, here is how I count it, which is ICP equals to 2,110,000 divided by, in bracket, 20 million divided by 265. And as we all know, using the BODMAS rule, we need to do the in the bracket first, and then when we get this answer, it is divided to 2,110,000, in which I got 38.51 days. Next is receivable collection period. Receivable collection period means that how long does the customer takes time to pay to the seller when they have already to pay the credit towards the seller. How long is it? Okay, to get the receivable collection period, the formula is that receivable collection period equals to receivable divided by, in bracket, sales divided by 365. And here is the equation. The answer is that 3,075,000 divided by, in bracket, 20 million divided by 365, in which the answer is 56.12 days. So that's how long the buyer takes time to pay back to the seller. Next is I need to find the payable deferral period. Payable deferral period means is that how long does the firm needed to pay back to their suppliers. And here the formula deferral period equals to account payable divided by, in bracket, COGS or cost of goods sold divided by 365 close bracket. Here is the answer, which is payable deferral period equals to 1,200,000 divided by negative 8 million divided by 265. And here is the bracket. We settle on the bracket first, and then the answer is divided by 1,200,000, and we got negative 54.75 days, or 54.5 days. That is how long the seller is needed to pay back to the firm needed to pay back to their supplier. Next is cash conversion cycle. So the formula for this is cash conversion cycle, or CCC, equals to inventory conversion period, which we got on the last question, and then add it to receivable collection period, which we have already got, and minus it to the payable deferral period, and which we got was the inventory conversion period was 38.51 days. The receivable collection period was 56.12 days, and we got the payable deferral period, which was 54.75, and this we needed to minus it. And the cash conversion cycle we got was 39.88 days. Okay, moving on to the question for 2B. Based on your answer in A, how much cash needs to be prepared or standby for the inventory? So we needed to find the standby, the minimum cash that we needed for the inventory. For this, they divided by 365, and the answer is then times by the conversion cash cycle, and then we will get the cash standby for inventory. In this, the inventory was already stated in the question, which was 2,110,000 divided by 265. We got 5,780.82, and then it is times by the conversion cash cycle, which I makes it to the nearest biggest number, which was 40, because we got it 36.88, so I made it 40. The answer was 231,232.8. That was the answer for the how much cash they need to stand by for the inventory. Okay, next, ways for Cahaya Berhad to reduce the cash conversion cycle. For this, there are three ways that I found, which was the first way is by reducing the inventory conversion period, which is basically Cahaya Berhad shouldn't hold their product for a long time, and to do this, they should process their goods and sell it at a faster rate. Yeah, in simpler form, they shouldn't hold their goods for a long time. The next way is by reducing the receivable collection period. In this, Cahaya Berhad should speed up the collection from their customer, or the credit that they have given to their customer. They should quicken the collection time. To do this, Cahaya Berhad may send bills to their customer on the early days of the month instead of on the end of the month, and Cahaya Berhad could also foster electronic payment, which will be the which will make the customer wants to pay faster, as it is easier. Okay, for the last step is that Cahaya Berhad can increase their payable defer period, which means that Cahaya Berhad may increase their time to pay back to their suppliers, and to do this, Cahaya Berhad may arrange with their suppliers to extend their credit term, or Cahaya Berhad may also pay their employees at the end of the month instead of the beginning of the month. Okay, let's move on to the third question.
Okay, so for task 3, question 1, identify and explain any 4 sources of short-term financing. So basically, there are 4 sources of short-term financing, which is the first one is accrual, which is the short-term liabilities when service are performed but payment is not yet received. So like wages payable or taxes payable. For example, employees may wait for a month before getting their paycheck. Second is account payable, when a business purchases raw material, equipment or product and on credit or liability and does not submit a formal or official memo for the liability. Third is short-term bank loan, which requires the borrower's original investment as well as interest that must be paid by a specific due date. So usually specific due date is less than 1 year because it is a short term. So last is commercial paper, which is by large enterprises to obtain funds to fulfill short-term debt obligation. For example, like payroll, and it is only backed by the pledge of issuing bank.
I'll be presenting about the advantage and disadvantages of short-term financing. Well, the advantages of using the sources of short-term financing is quick payout, which there are chances to make money fast. This will be helpful in an emergency situation, such as needing to make payment as soon as possible. So next, there is opportunity for borrowers with bad credit, which they don't have to let their credit history deter from getting the cash they need to cover an unexpected cost. Furthermore, rather than damaging credibility, short-term loans have the potential to support it. So for the disadvantage for short-term financing, they might face higher interest rates where the longer they owe, the more interest rate they need to pay. Other than that, there is potential damage to credit score, where a high interest short-term loan will boost one's debt to income ratio by lowering their credit score. If they have little to no more credit history, this can be harmful, and if they already have bad credit, it can be devastating to their potential borrower.
Okay, so for the question 3, suggest the best or most appropriate sources of short-term financing that are offered by any bank in Malaysia that may fulfill Encik Furkan needs. Elaborate any 5 of the main features of the short-term financing. So from my research, I found that the most appropriate source for short-term financing bank loans for Encik Furkan is Maybank Investment Bank, because first one, they provide a firm period of financing that enables customer to extend their payment terms by up to 10 days, And the standard settlement period for stock investment is 3 days. Maybank also offers short-term lending backed by Encik Furkan's cash and equities asset, which serve as collateral, and it is also eligible for those who have a normal trading account with Maybank Investment Bank Berhad. So the document that required for evaluation are standard trading application form, 2 photocopies of IC or passport, a copy of latest annual income statement, or at least latest 3 month salary slip, form BE, form EA, and latest 3 months bank statement.